There's more empirical evidence, of course, for the devil being at work in the cosmos. A lady on her way out who just asked me a question that comes up often: what about Aquinas' fifth proof? Where's the first cause? How can you do without a first cause? And I said what I think, which is that this has become, given what we now know and how far we've been able to evolve the argument, a sort of late-night squabble for sophomores, frankly, Aquinas, because it only gives you a sterile infinite regression. Where did the first cause of the first cause come from, then? The argument from design gives you the same problem. Who designed the designer? But there's an interesting wrinkle in the argument. You're also supposed to believe in, if you accept this theology, you're supposed to believe in the evil one, in the existence of Satan. Well, where's the first cause of that? It has to be God, presumably. Well, again, not my problem, but I'm glad it isn't. Who designed hell? It might be thought wrong if I pointed to questioners in that I could have, for all you know, planted members of my immediate...
That's okay. Go ahead.
If you don't think it's invidious, then...
No, it's fine.
Okay. For Dr. Peters, had his hand up.
I would love to go, but I think I'm still under the rule of my...
Right. Over here.
Very well. You see, I didn't...
Over here.
This is where it should be.
Right.
I noticed you made reference in your future religion essay about like the Tillichy and Disneyland, I think it was. What is that? Where does that come into play? It's the idea of transcendence and infinity and possibility of it being like God above God or beyond abstract and metaphysical.
Yes. The gentleman asked me, taking me up on a phrase I don't remember as well as I might, actually, but never mind, from my essay in Daedalus, about the sort of Tillichy Disneyland, the transcendent, the infinite, the unknowable. Well, if that's what you think about it, don't claim to know what it's like, would be my argument. Ask yourself, is the universe finite or infinite? You don't know. There's no way of finding out. Which is the most impressive idea? Which would overawe you the most? That it's eventually going to come to some kind of end, or that it can't possibly end? Well, fortunately, as mammals, we are constructed in such a way as that we cannot understand that question. The late Professor Haldane, I believe it was, who's a very important scientist of the last century, said that I think I'm right, it was Haldane, said that the universe is not only queerer than we suppose, it's queerer than we can suppose. That seems to me to be a settled conclusion. Therefore, do not for a moment trust anyone who says that he knows what the design is or what the plan might be. Those people must be wrong. You can start by excluding anyone who makes a claim of that sort. And it hugely simplifies matters once you have. Unless you remember the story of the Buddhist and the hot dog vendor. You don't remember it. The Buddhist goes to the hot dog vendor and says, what does he say? Make me one with everything. That's not it. The Buddhist only has $10 on him, so he hands it to the hot dog vendor, receives a slathered hot dog, and no more. He stands right up and says, what about my change? Hot dog vendor says, change comes only from within. The essence of the all is the Godhead of the true. Make us all one with the absolute. This is piffle. The people who talk it are simply trying to dull their own senses into a nirvana where there will be no pain, no conflict, no anxiety, just reconciliation and love and beauty. Can you picture anything more horrible than that? The death of the mind is what they have stored up for you. Well, your call. I wouldn't go near it.
Right over here. There's a question right over here. Over here.
Ma'am. About the
statement you just said.
Yes.
The quote, the universe is greater than its present, greater than its past. Do you agree with this quote?
No, I didn't say he, the literal word. This was a time when the word queer simply meant strange or bizarre. He said it's not greater than we can suppose, queerer than we can suppose.
Okay, well, do you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Okay, so, but wouldn't that leave room for the possibility of a God or a possibility of design other than science or other than anything that we can possibly grasp?
Okay. The lady asks me if it's true that the universe is beyond our, or the cosmos, let's say, is beyond our own mammalian comprehension. Doesn't that mean that there could, after all, be a God, or a prime mover, or a first cause? Not in the sense in which theology intends us to deduce a God from. No, it could not. Clearly it could not, because the argument used to be, well, obviously someone must have created this system, because here we have the Earth at the center of the universe, the moon going round it, then the sun going round it, then heaven, and below that hell. Obviously, and particularly the church at the middle. That was the belief until a very, very short time ago. Hence the resistance to the whole idea of the investigation of the motions of the universe, even of the planets or the stars, because religion is a form of solipsism. It pretends to say that we should all sacrifice ourselves and be abject to the Creator. But it's not as modest as it sounds. There's a trap in that. It also says it's all about you and me. He has a plan for me, for you. So hence my rejection of, as with the Mother Teresa case, of people who you see sometimes scuttling around in Rome, for example, or Jerusalem, or actually anywhere else. They slightly shove you off the pavement and they say, sorry, I can't wait. Don't mind me, I'm just very modestly on an errand for God. I don't find this modest at all. I find it the height of arrogance and conceit and vanity and false modesty. They can't possibly know that, and that if they claim to, they cannot have deduced it from the operations of the universe, which appear to have been caused by a gigantic explosion, which will also finish it off. And that we are fairly sure of now. If that's the design, what need of monks and rabbis? And if this is done in God's image, what Moloch or random dice player could this be? So the more you contrast the two things, the more it's impossible to derive divine authority from the extraordinary variety and majesty of the cosmos. Oh, it's yes. I was slightly afraid you would ask this. I'll rephrase it. The lady calls me up on this. Do you have to be an atheist to be an anti-theist? In theory, not. No. You could say there better not be one. Or you can say what you would think of the one who would have to be discovered by it. So ontologically, you could be dealing with an enemy rather than a non-entity. And I would, in that case, take the Miltonian line. I would be of the devil's party. I wouldn't worship it. I wouldn't agree to be bound by it. I wouldn't become one of the serfs. But I am relieved on the whole to think that there is absolutely no evidence at all of any divine plan. And certainly not a divine plan that has me or you or any of us in mind. There might have been a first cause. It's been argued by some ancient religious arguers, actually. It could be that the machinery was set in motion by some designer and then abandoned. Doesn't care what happens afterwards. He doesn't notice what happens to every sparrow that falls in the street. He doesn't mind whether you get divorced or you have a homosexual relationship or anything of that kind. Couldn't be bothered with anything so minuscule. So that's also, in other words, one can return this question to the believers. Couldn't you find yourself stuck with a God who would be hateful to you? Yes, you could. With God, all things are possible.